Hello, welcome to Correctional Officers in the News, where we talk about everything that's going on in corrections. Today, I would like to focus on New York City. Everybody has heard of Rikers Island. Even if you're not from New York, even if you're not from the United States, you've heard of Rikers Island, okay? Because it's a very well-known correctional center or complex. All right. It's one of the largest penal complexes in the world. And as of late, they've been in the press. Today, we see an officer with his arm slashed by a scalpel. Now, this is dangerous. An officer was trying to get a tray from an inmate. The inmate did not want to give up the tray. The inmate attacked the officer. The officer was fighting with this inmate. Another officer saw what was happening. He got involved, and the inmate pulled out a scalpel and slashed the first officer's arm. Thank goodness it's not life-threatening, but it's still troubling and disturbing that an inmate has a scalpel in a penal facility. Okay? Earlier last week on Rikers Island, an officer's face was slashed. And I reported on this in my last video. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is a video that was taken inside the jail showing this officer's face being slashed. He's at the cell door. He's getting ready to open the food slot. He opens the food slot, and as you see, the inmate reaches his hand out and slices the officer across the face. From what I understand, these two incidents didn't happen at the same jail, but they both happened on Rikers Island. Rikers Island has 10 different jails. The media has inundated the population with news coverage of every event that's happening on Rikers, everything that's happening with the inmates, everything that's happening with the officers, and as a reaction to this, a movement has developed to try to close down Rikers Island. Okay? Now, this is the crux of what I'm trying to get to right here. Why are they trying to close Rikers Island? From a correctional point of view, it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to show you why. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a map of Rikers Island. This is Rikers Island, right here. And as you can see, Rikers Island is literally an island. It's surrounded by water. There's only one way on and off of Rikers Island, and that's this bridge, the Francis R. Bruno Memorial Bridge. And as you can see, this is LaGuardia Airport, one of the busiest airports in the country, one of two very busy airports in New York. You have JFK and you have LaGuardia, the two airports that service New York. And I'm going to show you why they want Rikers Island. Okay? Now, just to the west of Rikers Island is Manhattan. This is Manhattan right here. This is the place where you've, heard of all your life. Some of you come to visit. Some of you live here. You get the idea.
One of the most
but let's get back to the map.
Attractions on the planet.
Here, this is Carnegie Hall. This is Central Park. The Upper East Side, the Lower East Side, the Upper West Side. You got your Empire State Building down here. You got Studio 54. You got your World Trade Center. You got everything going on right here in New York. And one thing you have in New York, more than anything, you have rich people. You have the most wealthiest people in the world residing in New York City. Own homes in New York City. And just to the east of that, you have this island, this landlocked mass of land that they would refer to as underdeveloped. Okay? Now, think about this. We are living in a world right now that is becoming increasingly dangerous with violence and terrorism. So, if you're living in Manhattan, if you're wealthy and you see that you've run out of land because every square inch of Manhattan is occupied, with the exception of Central Park. Every square inch is occupied and every square foot is extremely expensive, and you have this island just a few miles away that inmates occupy. And you have one bridge on and one bridge off. Rich people would love to have an island. They would have a heliport there, and they would fly from Manhattan to their homes or their condos here in Rikers Island. They would love that. There's only one way on, one way off. This is the bridge. We call it the Rikers Island Bridge, but it's really the Francis Bruno Bridge. And there's a checkpoint right here. This is the checkpoint. No one comes through this checkpoint not unless you have proper identification, parking passes, and everything else. You have to clear that checkpoint. Now, rich people would love to have this, and this is why I think that they're pushing to get the inmates off of Rikers Island. Now, we see just recently, just 2 weeks ago, the city talks about this plan to move all the teenagers off of Rikers Island.
Advocates and the Justice Department have said Rikers Island is no place for 16 and 17-year-olds. Now Mayor de Blasio is proposing to remove them from the infamous jail. Glenn Martin is...
Okay? And people are going for it. People are saying, yes, they need to shut Rikers Island down. We need to get everybody off here, and we need to try something different. And that's just the media that is controlled by the wealthy people telling everybody to believe that. Because if you really are concerned about the security of New York City, you don't want these inmates dispersed into the boroughs. You want them to be on an island by themselves in the middle of the ocean, where you can prevent them from escaping or someone breaking them out. So this is the safest place for these inmates. But the media has everybody believing that this should be shut down and the inmates should be relocated into the city, into facilities within the city. Now, why close Rikers Island? Because the rich people want to relocate there. They want to build their condos there, their skyscrapers there. They want to have easy access to the airport that's right here. And they've been thinking about it for years. But now they have their flunky, who is the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio. Just became mayor in 2014. Now, the reason why I call him a flunky is because either he's very shrewd or either he's very naive. Okay? Because he is doing everything in his power to make Rikers Island not work. That's why you have these slashings. That's why you have all of this violence that's going on now, because this guy really doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know whether he's messing this thing up on purpose or he just is that naive. He doesn't know. And the reason why I say he's naive, first thing that he does that is really ridiculous, he hires this guy as the commissioner of the New York City Department of Correction. Okay? The New York City Department of Correction, Rikers Island alone, can house up to 15,000 inmates. You have jails in every borough of New York City. The system has the capacity to hold 20,000 inmates. There's over 9,000 officers in the New York City correctional system. This gentleman, I have nothing against him. You know, he's probably a great guy. But he ran, before he became the commissioner of the New York City Department of Correction, he was the commissioner of the Maine Department of Corrections. The Maine Department of Corrections, if I'm not mistaken, has about 2,300 inmates and has a capacity of about 2,500 inmates. Why would they give this guy the responsibility of running New York City, the New York City Department of Correction? I don't know. It's got to be a bigger plan. They know he's not ready. They could have promoted anybody that's already in the system. They have chiefs, they have wardens that know the system inside and out, that would have done a great job. But they go to Maine to get this gentleman to run the system, and he's just messing it up. Okay? And I think it's by design. I think that the powers that be want Rikers Island for their own. They don't care about the security of the entire city as long as they have their little enclave here where they can keep everybody out. That's what they want. So disperse all the other criminals into the city. We're going to stay here and we'll be safe. That's what they're thinking of. That's what they're thinking of doing. That's my take on it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and I will try to answer them. Now, one other thing that I have to talk about if I'm talking about New York City Department of Correction in 2016. All right, let me show you something. This person right here is Norman Seabrooks. Norman Seabrook was as of June, he was the president of the Correctional Officers Benevolent Association, the Corrections Officers Benevolent Association, excuse me. And he is one of the most powerful political forces in New York. And he is the most powerful correctional union official in the country. And you know what just happened to him? He was arrested and he was charged with accepting bribes. He was charged with corruption. They say that he used $20 million of the union's money, of the correctional officers' money that is allocated for their benefits. He invested 20 million of that in a hedge fund, and that hedge fund was supposed to pay him between $100,000 and $150,000 a year for the investment. They say that he received $60,000 as a first installment, and then the feds stepped in and charged him with accepting bribes and corruption. And now he's out. Now, I don't know whether he did it or not. I don't think he did it. I think that if you want to take over Rikers Island, the first thing you would probably need to do is get rid of him. You would probably need to get him out the scenario because he's powerful, he's smart, and he understands that if you are really about the safety of New York City, you need to leave these inmates on Rikers Island. So he is going to block any type of movement, any type of policy that is going to shut down Rikers Island. And they know that. So they had to get him. I hope that he's innocent. I hope he can prove his innocence. But in New York City, once you get charged with a crime, whether you're innocent or guilty, the correction department, being that he is technically a correction officer, they have to suspend him. And once he gets suspended, he is no longer eligible to hold office. He cannot be a union official anymore. So he had to resign from the union. Hopefully he'll clear his name and come back. So I think that the city is working fast to try to turn the public opinion against Rikers Island and close Rikers Island before all of this plays out. That's my take on it. If you have a different take, I would love to hear it. Leave your comments. Let's kick it about this. Thanks for listening. Stay in touch. Be safe out there. Peace.